Welcome back! So, this is, day 2 of the merge. Out here with a rank 2 Soviet lineup. Looking to defend the tractor plant in Stalingrad. But what I'm really out here to do is to discuss the merge and, well, how successful it's been after a day or two. Simply put, it's rough. It's very rough, but I don't think that the decision to full send the merge was the wrong decision. I think that they've been sitting here for so long working on this that they had to put something out, and anything is probably better than nothing. There's certainly some bugs when it comes to seeing your progression on the research tree. I find that it desyncs fairly frequently, but restarting the game usually clears that up. I had one match the other night where my friend and I both switched from tier 5 lineups to tier 2 lineups, and we promptly went back into a tier 5 game, so I don't know if it just didn't realize that we had updated what we had or not, but we checked our lineups after the battle and we still had full tier 2 lineups, so that was rough. I mean, we won the game on the last objective, but it was not ideal. But that's only happened once, so I kind of think that was just a one-off bug. Hopefully nobody else runs into anything unfun like that. Other than that, most of the performance-related bugs I haven't run into. I think that I might be missing a handful of det packs, like the plunger TNT packs, but you know, that is what it is. And I have a few squads where I had customization on them, and now it's slightly different. I have a squad from Stalingrad that they all used to have Ushankas, and now they all have helmets. It's not the end of the world. I kind of wish that they would have done what they did with the tank camos and refund all of the soldier customization. Especially because if you take something like the Stalingrad Engineers, which, mind you, we still don't have our Stalingrad Engineer replacements, then their customization doesn't really work anymore. It's really hard to have stormtroopers be, you know, stormtroopers when they no longer have the ability to use MKBs. Which, to that end, I still think a lot of the BRs are fucking scuffed. There's way too many weapons that all fulfill similar roles, all being forced into the same bracket in rank 5, for example. Like, I probably have almost 20 MKB sitting around, and I probably have 8 MP43s in reserve, and probably another 4 to 8 sitting on assault squads that I may or may not use. But when I can just put STG-44s on everybody, it really begs the question as to why I would want to, you know, use the older ones when they all have the same BRs. And even if they drop them down to 4, to be honest, I don't know how much it would actually help, since 4 match makes the same as 5. And I really think that's the crux of the issue, is that we got a BR system, and yeah, to some extent, it helps change things, and it helps bring a little bit more balance in, because the top and the bottom of the game are slightly more narrow. But I don't know if it's enough. I'm very capable of winning games playing as rank 3 equipment in rank 5 battles. The problem that I run into is we probably played yesterday for the entire day. I think I streamed on Twitch for like almost 10 hours. I think in that time, while we were playing rank 3, we probably, as America, I think we got 2 games where we weren't bottom tier. When we were playing Russia, I think we had more success getting mid-tier games. But the point that I'm getting at is that rank 3 doesn't play down very often. It's not very coin flippy. And to be fair, this isn't some wild revelation to me. I made a post on, I think, the subreddit and the forums talking about how, this was like a week or 2 ago, talking about how I thought they should split matchmaking into 3 blocks, basically. Because what they say is that the matchmaking, you have an equal chance of going up or down, but if you know anything about how these things are coded, which, mind you, I don't code, but I did take some coding classes a while back, so I have some inkling of how this should look. At least, you know, in a simplified version, right? Again, I'm not claiming to be a game dev or anything like that. But even though you have an equal chance to get into both 1, 2, 3 or 3, 4, 5, that's predicated on there being an equal number of players at all ranges, and if there isn't an equal number of players at all ranges, then you're not going to have an equal chance because the matchmaker's trying to follow its priority list and fill a queue, and the way it's going to fill a queue is going to be entirely based on who's in queue. So if everybody is playing high tier matches, there's a very good chance you're going to get into high tier matches because there's going to be more high tier matches trying to form at once. So there will be more potential games for you to slot into. Because the game, it's not like you matchmake at rank 3 and the game flips a coin and the coin says, oh, you're going into a game where you're going to be top tier no matter what. No. It sits there and it finds the first game that's available for you that you can fit into based off of the parameters that you have on your lineup. So even though in theory you could go up or you could go down because there's a lot more players playing up, and also because the population of German players and American players are significantly higher than all of the other factions right now, there's a very good chance that as the Americans you play into Normandy, and as the Germans you play into Berlin or Normandy, and as the Russians you play into Berlin. And not to say that you can't play lower, and to be fair, you can get Stalingrad too, and in Stalingrad you can still play against top tier rank 5 enemies. Which is fine, I don't really mind that too much. I like the environment in Stalingrad. It's just annoying running rank 3 stuff into rank 5 constantly, because I know, and this is because I played in the old system. I think if I was brand new, this probably wouldn't annoy me as much, but because I played on the old system, I can sit here and say, well, in the old campaign system, if I made it to the end of the campaign, I was always guaranteed to have the best equipment available to me, unless I chose to take less effective equipment, which from time to time I did. But at least you had the player agency at that point to determine whether or not you had good equipment. Because you could pick whichever campaign was your favorite, or you were the most interested in, and you could grind the shit out of the gear in that campaign, and you could make sure that you had whatever it is that you needed. And that sucks for the new people starting out in that campaign, but they also had the same choice, that if they picked one campaign and they ground for it, then they also can sit there at the top. Where right now, the only way you can guarantee to be at the top is if you play rank 5, or if you play rank 2, you're not going to be at the top because rank 3 is almost always going to be there. But if you play rank 2, you can pick the best things in rank 2, and you still have some semblance of control. But if you play rank 3, you're almost always going up right now. And I'm gonna withhold too much judgment for now, because this may just be player base is skewed, the merge just came out, everybody's playing their best shit that they possibly have. That's a real option. So it might balance itself out in a few weeks, or even a few days, for all I know. So I don't want to jump the gun and be like, this is the worst thing ever! Because it might not be. It might just need time to stabilize. But nonetheless, it is something that I am actively concerned about. The paratroopers getting their boxes is another thing that I know that Darkflow has specifically mentioned that they're looking into solutions for. I think they said something along the lines of possibly making it scale with BR. As it stands right now, though, I have the Russian paratrooper squad, the premium one, sitting here on my lineup with rank 2 weapons in a rank 2 game, and if I pull out the assault squad from it, I'm gonna have DT-29s, and don't get me wrong, it's just a machine gun, but it's also one of the last machine guns that they get, and it's really good. I haven't looked at what their AT squad gets. I know that they get some sort of launcher, because I have pulled it out, I just don't remember if it's Panzerfaust 60 or Panzerfaust 100, but depending on which one it is, that could also be pretty powerful. Beyond that, I think the silver gain feels pretty rough right now. There are games where I think I'll get like 2,500 silver, there are games where I'll get like 1,600 silver, and then there are games where I'll get like 6,500, but those are usually the games that go really long and are really back and forth. And I don't remember the exact numbers off the old system, but I'm pretty sure every battle you would get, or at least I'm pretty sure every battle I would get, like, one of each type of silver order, and I'm pretty sure that I would get, I don't know, 5 or so bronze orders. And so, if a bronze order is 200 silver, and a silver order is 1,000 silver, then I kind of feel like on an average game, we should be getting somewhere in the neighborhood of 2,500 to 3,000 silver. And we'll see what I get at the end of this match, but I don't think that that's been that consistent. As you can see, we're running around with our DT-29. I really should try to have my squad do this, but I don't trust them to actually make it there, see? Oh well. Hopefully the teammates will hold, but no, I guess not. 'Tis what it is. Alright, so the other most, maybe not the most, but to me one of the most annoying things with this update is that if you have progression from previous campaigns, right, it'll often put you in kind of a spotty position where you'll have the first 3 tanks, skip 1, you'll have the next 5 tanks, skip 2, you'll have the next 2 tanks, and then there'll be a tank at the end there that you're like, oh sweet, I can research this now. I would have had to go through a campaign level or two before for some redundant crap that I didn't want before. Okay, sounds good, right? That sounds like what we all wanted. Okay, but here's the issue. Here's the thing that makes it kind of annoying. You need to have every single thing in the line before you researched and purchased. So, if you have, say, all of the American vehicles except for the M4A2 76W, right, all the way at the end, and you're also missing the Sherman 2 because you didn't quite finish Tunisia. Well, even though you've got everything else in the tech tree, you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to get that Sherman to buy your end-of-the-line Sherman, even though you have the Sherman immediately preceding that one. Or, it's actually an M18, I think that immediately precedes it, but you get the idea. It's honestly a load of bullshit. If you've ever played War Thunder, the War Thunder tech tree gets shifted around a lot. It's pretty regularly moved, and if you've got the preceding thing in War Thunder, you can buy the next thing. So, like, if you're, again, using the same example, right? If you have the Hellcat and you want to research the M4A2 76W, you can go and you can research it, you can go and you can pick it up, and that's that. But if you do it in Enlisted, you need every single thing before it. And that honestly kind of sucks. It basically puts us back into the same position that we were in before, where even though these things aren't redundant in the sense that they're unique vehicles or unique weapons or unique squads, in a lot of cases we already have similar things that can do the same role, and it might be a vehicle that you're not very interested in. Like, for example, I have almost every Thompson in the game right now. I don't have the 1928 without the foregrip. It's like a tier 4... God damn it. It's like a tier 4 weapon, and it's like BR3. So it's probably a pretty good weapon. But it's also holding me up from being able to actually purchase the Thompson with the 50-round drum mag. And that kinda sucks. Because I'm way more interested in getting the 50-round drum mag Thompsons on all of my American Assaulters than I am going back and getting a tier 3 Thompson. There's just other Thompsons that are perfectly adequate, that I already have, and there's other submachine gun options that are already at rank 3 that I can use in the American tech tree. There are lots of good things, though, about the merge. I mean, we've got the unified tech tree. I got refunded a ton of gold. That's more of like a personal thing, though, I guess. Not everybody got that. But for me, it was cool. Because I was able to get most of my squad slots back. I ended up not getting them all back for Russia or for Japan, because I don't play them as much as Germany or America. But I still got enough of... I still have more than enough squad slots for both of them. But I figured if I didn't get them all back, then I could use part of the remaining gold to just pick up the Soviet paratroopers. Which is what I did, so I didn't actually have to spend anything else. So that was nice. Getting a huge influx of silver was nice, because I had something like 5,000 bronze soldier orders. Which... all of that turned into like 8,500 or so silver, or 800,000, 850,000, whatever. I can words and numbers, I promise. Me true, me not big dumb. But yeah, I mean, that was nice. The new weapons for Japan seem cool. I actually didn't have to research them. I guess it's probably because I already had the squads researched for them, but the Type 99 LMG and the Type 2, I just have both of those. And I don't have the Ho-I, but the tank destroyer that comes right after the Ho-I I have, and I don't remember researching that before. So, that's nice too. As far as, like, gameplay is concerned... Oh, I literally looked at this room 5 minutes ago, and I should have made a mental note not to go back through there. As far as gameplay is concerned, there's a lot of explosions and automatic fire and paratroopers. Basically, if you take Normandy, cross it with Berlin, and multiply it by 4, that's pretty much how the rank 3, 4, 5 games play. The rank 1, 2, 3 games, honestly, they aren't that bad. There's obviously more competition because, you know, there's more actual players on the other team. But, by and large, they play a lot like the game played 6 months ago. So, or even a week ago, if you had a full game. So yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. No complaints there. The Russian Paras have these awesome fuzzy boots, and I love them. The only way that you could possibly make the Russian paratroopers cooler is if they jumped into snowdrifts without parachutes, but that wouldn't really work outside of maybe Stalingrad or Moscow. Other than that, I don't have too many other complaints. I really want them to seriously reconsider the way that the matchmaker works. I think that it needs a 3BR spread, or not a 3BR spread, but like a 3Q spread, I guess is more accurate. And whether they do that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or if they do it as 1 match makes with 2, 2 match makes with 1 and 3, 3 match makes with 4 and 2, 4 match makes with 2 and, or not 2, with 3 and 5, so on and so forth. But you can only play within like a 1BR spread. I mean, I'd be okay with that too, although, you know, it sounds more complicated, but it's effectively the same thing. I don't really care how they do it. It's not the end of the world having to play up, but it is annoying just because if you choose to play rank 3 right now, you're actively choosing to be outgunned in every game, unless you get especially lucky. And don't get me wrong, you absolutely can get lucky, but it's just not something that I would rely on right now. I can't wait to run into the first squad of Germans that I see, have them slap a bomb on me, and have that be the end of me. System's pretty good too. I like that you don't really have to upgrade your soldiers. I like that you kind of just get your perks. That's unfortunate. I guess they were already all on the objective. I don't really have any complaints about the system itself with the new perk system. I just wish that there wasn't variance on the soldiers. I was kind of hoping that that would be going away and that we would... Wow, I can't believe I fit through that door. Let's see if I can get through here. I was really hoping that soldiers would just have max rolls all the time, but it is what it is. I suppose the only other thing that I failed to mention so far... Well, okay, the only two things that I failed to mention so far are that they had said before that we would be getting a limitation of 2 squads per type with the merge, and that has not materialized. You can bring however many squads of any type that you want, so long as you have squads of that type. So if you want to bring nothing but, like, let's say you've got 10 slots in Germany, right? And you want to play Assaulters, and you played the crap out of Germany before the merge, you can bring 8 slots of Assaulters and your 2 vehicles. That's absolutely something that you can do. You can give them all STGs. Yeah, you can do the whole thing. Number 2, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't really get into it, but they mentioned before that people who had Stalingrad access would be getting some sort of compensation engineer squad. So far that hasn't materialized, and I don't know if they're just waiting until they haven't been prepared for it, and then we'll get them, or not. I kind of expected to get them right away, and to be entirely honest, I don't really see why there was an issue with the Stalingrad engineers to begin with. I think they could have just added assault rifles onto all engineered 2s. It's not going to affect new players. It's something that only exists in rank 5. And at rank 5, everybody else already has an FG42 or an ABS or an AVT, so I don't think it matters. So if we're not going to get our engineers now, I would rather they just revert the Stalingrad engineers. And plus, I've got customization on my Stalingrad engineers, so I'd kind of like to actually be able to make use of that. Yeah, look at me. I'm climbing out here on top of a tank, trying to fix it in the middle of a firefight. I don't know why I couldn't repair it either, but it is what it is. Oh, abandoned ship. That's a little bit unfortunate. I probably should have gotten out sooner, but my tank crew didn't really have a whole lot of anything exciting on them. Yeah, so we got 22-25 on a defeat. I mean, on a defeat, that's not awful, but at the same time, I feel like that could have been a little bit higher. I don't know. But to show what I was talking about earlier, right? I finished researching this Thompson. If I want to buy it, I can't. See, we actually do have the previous reward, but what it means is you need everything in this line. And I've even seen people talk about it with vehicles where, that's not a good example. Okay, right here. I don't have this researched yet, but when I do finish researching, or actually, this is a good example. I do have this one researched. I can't buy that. I need to research that one. Now, what I've read other people say is that even if I research the Sherman 2, it's not enough to research it. You also have to buy the Sherman 2 in order to get this one, which is the one that I actually care about. Or, you know, the example I gave earlier was up here, but you get the idea. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else that I really have to discuss. I'm pretty happy with how Rank 2 plays. I think you can avoid a lot of the bullshit by playing Rank 2. I only started playing Rank 2, like, this morning, mind you. Or, like, late last night. I was playing Rank 3 almost exclusively for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours of the merge, and then I played a little bit of Rank 5 after one of my buddies left as Germany, or as Russia, and we got stomped because, you know, Germany. Don't get me wrong, I like Germany. And then we played Rank 3 Americans for a while, and then ultimately ended up switching it up to Rank 5 because we were getting into Normandy against Tigers every single game. And okay, so there's another point people have made, but I disagree with, that the German tanks are these unkillable, indestructible, horrific monsters. So I think that the meme of it being a skill issue is kind of true. If your only way of handling an enemy heavy tank is to fight it head on, and you expect to kill it, I think you need to rethink your methods of approaching it. Now, I absolutely acknowledge that not everybody who plays this game has the tools to go and take apart an enemy team when they need to. But the Americans, for example, have excellent CAS. They have some of the best CAS in the game. Don't get me wrong, German CAS is competitive, but a lot of the American planes double as being fighters. So you can go and you can shoot down the enemy planes that are harassing you on the ground, and then you can turn around and you can kill their tanks. You can do that with things like the P-38, the P-47, the P-51D5. All of those are adequate for taking out tanks. The Beaufighter, probably to some extent. I don't have it, so I can't speak to its agility. But even when you get into the lower tiers, you can just bring a fighter if you want to go fight fighters, and you can bring something dedicated to killing tanks like the Dauntless. The Dauntless you get very early on, and I promise you, you can bring that into any BR, and any tank that you see, you can kill. It's basically a Control-Alt-Delete button for any enemy tank. So I think it's an issue of approach. Now, mind you, I acknowledge that enemy vehicles being in the gray zone creates a difficult situation, because you do need to get side shots with a lot of the man-portable AT weapons. The Piat is fairly usable because it has 80 mils a pen. The M1 bazooka you may as well just throw in the trash. And the M9, I like the M9, it's pretty usable, but again, it's only 100 mils a pen, so to use it reliably you do need to get side shots, and if they're in the gray zone that's not always going to be possible. That's why I point you towards planes. To be honest, I think it's indicative of a bigger issue. We basically have allowed every infantryman in the game to be an anti-tank soldier, and so it incentivizes players to not push out and to sit in their gray zone. So your solution is either to remove the gray zone, or it's to remove the explosives off of most of the soldiers, except for like dedicated soldiers. I can't tell you which one's the right answer, but either one would fix the issue. Yeah, I just don't expect tankers to go out and push when pushing means that they're going to drive into people throwing AT mines around them, throwing TNT packs on them. And don't get me wrong, like, I drove a T-50 into a factory in the last map. Like, I play tanks kind of aggressively, and sometimes I pay for it, like I did last game. But I know most people don't do that, and I understand why most people don't do that. I just also don't think it's an issue that's going to go away without some fundamental change in the game. Oh, right. The only other thing that I would like to see, I'd like to see more filters. I've mentioned it before. I would like to see a filter that you can click for premium your premium squads. I'd like to see a filter for each BR range. This is less of a thing for America because I've got a lot of squads here, but I've got less squads. But especially in Germany, I have 126 squads. I have so many squads for Germany that I can sit here and I can make different lineups, and so I can have squads that are all set to be rank 2, I can have squads that are all set to be rank 4 and 5, and then I can have all squads that are set to be rank 3, and I have enough squads here that I can prep them for all of those, but the thing is, I'm not always going to have every single squad on the lineup. Like, I can go to, like, preset 3, right? But preset 3, I don't really have a whole lot of riflemen on here. I don't have like a dedicated engineer squad. If I wanted to, there's enough of those squads that I could pull out a dedicated engineer squad or two, or another dedicated rifle squad, or say sniper squads, and I could put them on here. But the only way for me to find them is to go and filter for the type of squad, and then look around and be like, oh look, these guys are rank 2. Okay. I don't have another rank 3 one pre-prepared, but the point is that I could take a bunch of these rank 1 squads here, and I could make them rank 3 squads, and I could throw them in. And if I could filter by rank, then I could take all of my pre-prepared squads and just pick which ones I want and toss them on quickly. I also really want a button. Now I already went through it, I stripped gear off of a lot of different squads, but I want a button where you click on it and it says, are you sure? And then you click on it again and it says, are you sure you're sure? And then when you click on it that second time, it just strips all of the gear off of every squad you have. And moreover, I would also like to be able to completely strip the gear off of my soldiers. I would like to be able to leave them without a rifle, without anything in their slots, just have everything come into reserve. I'd even kind of like to be able to do that with soldiers, and just pull all of my soldiers out of every squad, that way I can just slot them in the way I want to. But that's probably a pipe dream. Really, I think the important ones are just adding extra filters, other than just the squad type. Like, this is good, this is brilliant, but I prefer my idea. I think that's just about everything. I'm sure I'm gonna remember something later on, and I'm gonna kick myself for not mentioning it. I mean, I already kind of have done that with a few of the points, like the tank point. Yeah, this one, I don't remember researching this one before the update. I think this one's new, but I could be wrong. And I absolutely got the Type 99 and the Type 2 without having to research them, which I assume is because of the squads they come with, because these are Machine Gunner 2s and these are Assaulter 3s. So that's really nice. That saved me, you know, time and resources, and I actually just had these guys, so I'm not getting cucked by not having these two SMGs researched, so that's really nice. But yeah, expect more updates from me on how I think the update's going. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think that it has a lot of potential, and to be fair, I mentioned in previous videos, I think Darkflow just needs to get player data from the live server, and because there's so many more players here than there would have been on the dev server, they can take that and they'll start tweaking things. And I think the game will only get better from here. I think yesterday is the roughest the game will be for the foreseeable future, and I think it only can look up from here. But I know that there's a lot of doomsayers and whatnot right now, and people who just aren't particularly happy with how things turned out. So yeah, get out there, try to stay alive, play Japan please. I'd like to play in the Pacific more. But overall, just have fun and win your games.